Number one, let's start with what happened yesterday, because she has gone viral, all right? She's gone viral over hot girls eat Arby's. Yeah. She was wearing this outfit, this arrangement into the Chicago Sky game. Of course, the Indiana Fever, I would like to say, beat the brakes off the Sky, but really it felt like they underachieved.
When you combine WNBA drama bombs, slogan, tea, and curly fries, what do you get? 800,000 apparently explanations on why Sophie's Arby's shirt is so amazing. It's official. Yes. Angel Reese is not happy that ticket sales are being outpaced by fast food merchandise. Was this the biggest crossover since Space Jam that we just witnessed? This isn't only about meat, so stay put. It has to do with
Sophie Cunningham's t-shirt became a marketing phenomenon. Sophie Cunningham currently plays for the Indiana Fever and has now become one of the most recognizable WNBA players. After Barbie night, she pulled up wearing a shirt that said "Hot Girls Eat Arby's," and the internet lost it. But here's the real backstory. A few months earlier, Sophie posted a video rating Arby's. And that video was just her being authentic in herself. And that puppy went viral.
I think I'm gonna go ahead and give Arby's a solid 9 out of 10.
Then following this, the phrase "Hot Girls Eat Arby's" started flying around. And it turns out that Arby's has been saying this since
roast beef, and someone is undoubtedly salty. Now let's dive into this crispy mayhem. The WNBA subtly shifted its focus from basketball to whatever now is the time. It's no longer even subtle. While the skill, background noise, and drama are required, the sport is optional. You would believe that the shot clock was now timing social media posts rather than plays. A beacon appears in the middle of all this tumultuous spectacle, breaking the internet like she just developed sliced bread while wearing an Arby shirt rather than dunk from the...
Well, we know somebody that has gotten ridiculously popular this year with the Indiana Fever. I made a prediction that she was going to be the second most popular player on this team by the end of the year. And then, of course, there was the big incident during the Connecticut Sun game. And by the end of that game, she was known as Caitlin Clark's enforcer, right? The one that's got her back. At times, it feels like the only one that's got her back, if I'm being quite honest.
The free throw line. No one was offended by Sophie. She simply strolled into the league's mindset and destroyed it with sincerity and curly fries. She isn't running ISO plays out here. The truth is being isolated by her. No artificial nails or hair, no just vibes and viral. Merchandise. No artificial lashes. The rest of the league, meanwhile, is occupied with attempting to develop brands around
Casual Wednesday.
Sophie Cunningham has broken the internet in multiple ways over the last day. All right, the other day, before the Chicago Sky game, this Barbie, and let's be real, let's be honest. If you were going to cast somebody as Barbie, there's a good chance you'd take a long, hard look.
Impressive beef. They will force the idea that we need more help on everyone, while promoting TikToks that resemble reality show tryouts. However, Sophie simply walks up, tells it like it is, sells 800,000 t-shirts, as if Wednesday were a casual day. It seems as though fresh air had blown in when someone opened a window. The same wind must have riffled. A few eyelashes as well, as in the
Let's talk about Arby's. She is now on the Arby's payroll. Decided that it was a match made in roast beef heaven. Hot girls eat Arby's. No knock on Arby's, Sophie, but if you give Arby's 9 out of 10, I'll take you to Racks. I'll buy you some Racks, and I think you will find that hot girls probably eat Racks. Arby's has a new spokeswoman, and it just so happens to be Sophie Cunningham. Yeah, that's right. Sophie Cunningham, who took to her social media to discuss how much she enjoyed a trip that she made to Arby's.
fourth quarter, reactions were flying like misdirected passes. You see, the league is at a loss for what to do when someone like Sophie becomes popular. She is not like the others. The circle of Instagram clicks does not include her. After going 2 for 10, she stops dancing on the court. And she most certainly doesn't depend on staged friendships to maintain. 3 people adore her for that reason. When everyone else is performing, she's merely in the present. No weekly PR strategy meetings, no filters, no extensions. It's possible that's what fans are really wanting. Basketball players who behave like basketball players, you know? Crazy idea, huh? For the same reason, Cece assumed control of the story without seeking.
700,000 followers overnight. I don't know if you guys knew, she had like 300 or something less than 48 hours ago. Insane. The enforcer has arrived. And she even posted like twice since then, bro. She's totally taken it to a whole new level. Like, Caitlin Clark has a new star. This is like a new star in the WNBA. People ain't gonna like it. People aren't gonna like it. Trace Leches, you know what I'm saying? Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and Lexi Hull, which, by the way, kind of was obsessed with her before she even came along. So
Consent. And like a human lie detector, Aaliyah simply screams through all the cacophony. These women have no intention of being viral. They are simply unintentionally iconic. This leads us to an extremely uncomfortable reality that nobody likes to discuss aloud. What are we even doing here if the league can't figure out how to turn black women who genuinely ball into superstars? There is talent. It has always existed. However, they continue to prioritize gimmicks above greatness rather than enhancing it. TikTok personalities surpass perseverance. Overhandles hairstyles. 9. They appear to be operating a beauty pageant under the cover of a league. The visibility measurements are neither points nor.
And one thing I like about Sophie is that she's tough. So when Caitlin Clark last week, or not last week, a couple days ago, when Caitlin Clark got destroyed, her girl Sophie came to her defense, and this was the most beast mode thing that I've seen a woman do in WNBA history. Now, Sophie, who's my one of my favorites now, she's become one of my favorite WNBA players. I'm gonna watch her too, like I watch Caitlin. Look at what she did, and people may not say that this was in response or whatever the case may be, but I feel like Sophie is like, you want to play?
AIDS. They're the ones who uploaded which selfie, who was teasing on Twitter, and who arrived with the longest manicures. The players who are truly exceptional, who show up, maintain focus, and play real basketball are marginalized by the soap opera of it all, somewhere in that whirlpool of performance art, wearing a fast food brand. Sophie entered this frenzy and immediately became the league's most talked about figure. It was because of the stark contrast, not because she pleaded for attention. Even worse, she didn't require a glamorous squad. All she needed was a grin and a shirt. Additionally, the criticism is predictable. Suddenly, the same group that called for greater attention became gatekeepers. The same people who complain about visibility appeared incredibly uncomfortable when someone they didn't script was in the spotlight.
To the arena yesterday, wearing that. There she is right there. Let's just bring this up. Over at Tater Report. There she is right there. Hot girls eat Arby's. I can only imagine, and I have no idea. I would assume this is some kind of sponsorship with Arby's, right? Right there. I don't know. The roast beef sandwich jokes just sort of write themselves at this point. And just like that, I want a cheddar melt.
Sophie is the epitome of the curated chaos, crew's worst fear. Someone that fans adore, not produced. Here's the twist, though. It's not really about Sophie here. It has to do with her values. A growing need for real-feeling athletes. Don't view the league as a content studio or a catwalk for fashion. Avoid the turmoil, play hard, and maintain their humility. To be relevant, one does not have to fabricate a feud every other week, and who don't painfully show that they're next. Endorsement is more important to them than their upcoming battle. And perhaps it's time to find out why that makes certain people uneasy. What makes authenticity dangerous? Perhaps it might begin by treating its players with respect, particularly those who are giving their all on the court and want nothing. In return, those who can demonstrate their marketability without doing a TikTok duet those who are already relatable and don't need to pretend to be so. Those that attend every practice, every game, every moment, without expecting praise for simply being there. Perhaps this explains why athletes like Sophie, CC, and Aaliyah are attracting a lot of followers. Not because they are ostentatious, but rather because they are authentic. Not because they want to be famous, but rather because they want to win. Furthermore, it turns out that the best story in a league that is fixated on narratives was the one that no one wrote. Thus, we are witnessing a fast food t-shirt surpass the total influence of the league's previous 3 advertising efforts, seeing that players who don't use gimmicks receive more praise than drama queens who spend 3 times as much on public relations. For example, Sophie just occurred to wear an RB shirt number, which resulted to her going viral. This woman didn't stumble and land in a public relations jackpot. She constructed it. She laid it out in a chessboard-like fashion. Sophie was calmly playing 4D, chess with curly fries, while the other players in the league were busily subweeting each other and learning TikTok moves, in my opinion. Being brilliant at basketball, attractive, and possessing grit are the 3 characteristics that make you a bad person. Furthermore, I believe that one of the WNBA's recent trends is that in addition to being skilled basketball players, some of these women also don't appear like women. Am I correct? Their appearance has changed from that of guys to that of stunning women playing basketball. Additionally, I appreciate Sophie's toughness. She isn't making this up. She is carrying out a blueprint. She acts with purpose in all she does. The simplicity, the messaging, and the timing. She possesses the business acumen of a Madison Avenue CEO and the emotional intelligence of a therapist. There was a clever, humorous, low-effort, high-impact tactic behind that RB shirt, and it was successful. Guess Sophie isn't performing for attention like half of the league does? She's planning it. To be honest, some individuals find that upsetting. It accomplishes so because it dispels the myth that being noisy, untidy, and disorderly is necessary to attract attention. She is a part of something greater, whether she intended it or not. Because this complete change in focus isn't arbitrary. It isn't a coincidence. When the enforcer is present and someone like Sophie knows exactly how to surf the wave without drowning in it, it's the Caitlin Clark effect multiplied. She's not riding coattails exactly. Her ability to add value rather than create noise stems from her understanding of momentum. RB spotted this and thought it was a match made in roast beef heaven, so let's have a look. As in, not bad. She said that she was leaving after enjoying her delicious lunch. But it's clear that they weren't deterred by the slight she hurled at them. She obviously doesn't have it very often. Sophie, what are those clear-cut explanations? In any case, she is now employed by Arby's. She observed the change taking place. Last year, she witnessed Caitlin attract basketball fans who weren't even watching. She observed the enforcer attracting attention and distributing receipts in a manner similar. To a VIP club bouncer, Sophie found her lane and crushed it, rather than attempting to steal the show. Sophie approaches every situation as a branding masterclass. In contrast to certain players who are out here mishandling every media chance like it's a loose ball, she doesn't pretend to be someone she's not, which is why it works. The talk loud. Because of Drama Box, we might allow you to go viral if you increase your following. However, someone like Sophie didn't wait for approval. When she noticed a void in the market, she entered with a roast beef tea and established her dominance. That's Sophie Cunningham, as you can see here. At the very least, she is the Caitlin Clark who won Teammate of the Year. Caitlin Clark actually attacked one of the Phoenix Mercury players late in the game as payback for being shoved to the ground and jabbed in the eye during the first half of a match against them, and it was adored by fans. They devoured it due of this. If you pay close attention, you can see that her TikTok following increased from over 300,000, which was fantastic, to around 800,000, most likely at 1 million right now. And now for the really bad part. She deserved it. Weld was deserving of all the accolades. This isn't a coincidence. It's not a rush of unintentional likes. Sincerity wrapped in strategy. This isn't a ploy. It's a game on the people who centered their entire brand on. Playing the face are now discovering that they were only the filler episode and not the franchise player. The league isn't sure whether to market or silence Sophie, CC, and the Enforcer because, God forbid, a group of women begins to garner fan allegiance without causing a stir. In the meantime, they're out here changing the script. Rather than stage drama and clickbait rivalry, people want talent, heart, and genuineness. And that becomes increasingly clear the more women like Sophie rise. Naturally, though, the backlash begins to appear. Petty whispers, side glances, and subtle jabs that attempt to minimize the situation, as if she's simply fortunate. Or it's just that Caitlyn drew in new admirers, as if Sophie hadn't taken advantage of that chance with deft timing. The jersey for Sophie Cunningham, a teammate of Caitlin Clark, is now officially sold out on the Fever website. This occurs the same week as the chippy foul that resulted in a few players being ejected at the conclusion of the match. After a strong foul on the other end, Caitlin Clark took up the foul as a sort of retaliation. Then right away, I received a petition from the people who despise Caitlin Clark, asking for Sophie Cunningham to be kicked out of the WNBA. People are being asked to sign it. What she showed tonight, they argued, was repulsive. Indeed it was. A serious foul. But now Caitlin Clark's supporters are supporting her and purchasing her jerseys in such large quantities that they have officially sold out. Luckily for this petition, Sophie Cunningham appears to have recently become a new WNBA A-list sensation, so the league shouldn't be doing that specifically. Leveraging the momentum and transforming it into something. Enduring rather than squandering it on yet another marketing plan that appears to have been conceived by a group of bewildered influencers. It is very ironic. The WNBA begged for attention for years. It doesn't know how to handle it now that it's officially here, due to Caitlyn, the Enforcer. And actual ones like Sophie, unless their pre-approved mascots get the limelight. However, culture cannot be curated. And since they have been functioning under the premise that women in this league must perform in order to be validated, some people simply cannot handle the mix. The fact that Sophie is claiming her value out here is even more dangerous. Even though she isn't trying to get attention, it keeps coming to her since viewers can sense her sincerity via the screen. You can't help but notice how false everything else seems once you see it. Tonight, Sophie Cunningham's jersey will be sold out. People had been anticipating this. The players will have to act as the enforcers themselves if the referees fail to perform their duties. The referees failed to perform their duties and the game was chippy from the start, using her as a case study. The league ought to extend a warm welcome to her. This is how to interact with fans. Here's how to intentionally market. Here's how to develop a brand without causing rifts. Rather of admitting that she is playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers on a broken table. They act as though she simply won the lotto by accident. Additionally, the fans are not foolish. They observe it. They understand why Sophie appeals to them, why she feels like a welcome change in a league that is choking its own story. They're also showing up with their wallets open, outspoken in support, and uninterested in going back to the phony drama machine that the league has been attempting to peddle for years. Sophie is patiently dominating the merchandise game, earning fans with every word and redefining what a superstar in this league genuinely looks like. While everyone else tries to stay relevant with contrived rivalries and shouty sound bites, only skill, intelligence, and the courage to be herself, no showmanship or outbursts.